Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Can I just say, as a fellow cyclist, this Representative Norma Torres tweeted, "It's unacceptable that California is among the deadliest states for cyclists. I've got a bill with Representative Bonamici to address rising accidents and fatalities that make our streets safer for all vulnerable road users." Chris rides his bike here every day. You and I ride our bikes all the time. Someone posted a picture of Eric Bollert, whose birthday I believe
today.
it was.
It's today.
Yeah.
It's today.
Yeah.
Who, of course, our beloved, who died in a cycling accident. And so, this is really near and dear to the Stephanie Miller Show. And it's also a way where, other countries are so far ahead of us in making it safe for cyclists and having bike lanes and all that stuff, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. And then there's this prevailing wisdom here in the United States where it's the bike rider that needs to get the hell out of the way. And I think in a competition between a bike rider and a 2,000-pound moving bullet, like an automobile, I think the car always wins. So the driver has to be a little bit more aware of bike riders. And I say this as someone who's been hit by a car.
Yes.
And then as I'm laying there, as I'm sprawled on the pavement after being hit by this car, the driver of the car comes running over and hovers over me and goes, "I didn't even see you." I was like, how could you not
You're
see?
very large,
I'm a
by the way.
6'4" man wearing garish cycling gear. How do you miss me? You're just not paying attention.
And Bob,
and
the
you
other
need
thing
to.
is, I was reading a tweet last week, remember, that it just doesn't seem like absolutely everything is politicized now, but it was, the cyclists are seen as, it's a leftist, we're leftist woke, whatever. I'm like, really? Since when did fresh air and exercise become something that's only the purview of liberals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, that's it. Because we're doing something that's, I don't know what, fun and is good for you. That's somehow a liberal value now.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I guess if you're trying to convince your entire following or your entire cult, as the case may be, it's just fitness is completely irrelevant, and you just would rather them follow you down the rabbit hole of fascism.
Well, they're,
I don't know.
their orange cult leader believes, what is his stupid thing?
You have a finite number of breaths.
You have a
and
finite
heartbeats.
number of heartbeats or breaths, and if you use too many of them through exercise, dear Jesus.
Yeah. And can I emphasize one more time that Joe Biden didn't just randomly fall off his bike?
Right.
It just didn't happen that way. What happened was his foot was stuck in the pedal because there are toe clips in the pedals that keep your foot on the pedal. You know that scene in Breaking Away where he ties his feet to the pedals?
Yeah.
It's the same principle, right? And so when you go, I have fallen over on my bike so many times
there's
because
two
my
kinds
foot
of people.
was stuck on the pedal.
People that have fallen on their bike and people that don't ride bikes. Everybody's fallen.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, Biden looks great on his bike.
No kidding.
God.
Yes, of course. I'm
even...
sure at this point he can ride farther and faster than I can.
Yeah.
Which is
so
bad.
Bob, and you just said, I get what you're saying, but I refuse to allow a fascist idiocracy to roll on without doing my part to stop it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all of us can do, right?
Right. And I think there are still lots of people who are on the fence right now, insufferably so. I mean, I know it drives us crazy to understand that, there's some people who just don't know whether they want democracy or fascism because gas prices are $3 and Joe Biden's 81 years old.
Yeah.
All the usual ridiculous reasons. And I think those people are still convincible. I think what you have to do is get the message out in terms of, here's a great example. We sit here and we follow these news stories every day. Our faces pressed up against our phones and our computer screens, absorbing every last detail of what Trump has been saying or what's been going on in Congress. And so we're understanding of the stakes here. And I think there are a great number of people, the folks, as they're often called in politics, who don't follow politics 24/7, who aren't watching cable news and listening to the Stephanie Miller Show, even though they should.
Right.
And so what they do is they just randomly absorb things as they go by the television, and they hear someone say something at work over at the water cooler, and then they think that's the truth, and they don't understand what's actually going on. And I think it's our responsibility to get the message out in terms of what really is happening with things like Project 2025, what Donald Trump intends to do if he becomes president again, the disaster that's going to be for democracy and for humanity, quite honestly, if you loop in the climate crisis. And so this is something, I mean, you got to keep going. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep getting the word out because these people need to hear it. There are lots of people who need to get the word and all the details of all the things that could potentially happen.
Don't wait till the last minute. Start now. You know, we have almost a year. For instance, you said if Trump gets his way, your insurance could be legally rescinded as soon as you get sick or injured. The ACA banned this process called rescission, which also passed myriad consumer protections for all insurance customers, not just marketplace policyholders. Again, there is nothing that's hyperbole now. He's telling you what he's going to do in advance. This is not us fear-mongering.
Well, this is a great example of what I'm talking about with regard to the Affordable Care Act, because I think there are a great number of people, even some people in the legacy news media, who don't understand what this legislation does for the healthcare system and for customers of health insurance, all of us, basically. And one of the main things is I think people believe that the ACA is only for people who buy policies on the marketplace or people who have pre-existing conditions. There are myriad consumer protections in the Affordable Care Act that make insurance less expensive than it was before and cover more. There's free preventative care. There's, kids can stay on their parents' policy until they're 26 years old.
I remember Jackie Schechner screaming over and over again, Obamacare is not a thing. It's not a thing. The Affordable Care Act is just a law with consumer protections in it that protects all of us. It's not, it's like that famous thing in Kentucky. The guy goes, I don't have that, none of that Obamacare. That sucks. I have this Kentucky net or whatever, Connect.
Of course. Yeah. And by the way, it was the marketplace in Kentucky is one of the most popular marketplaces in the entire country. And I'm sure there are lots of red hat Republicans availing themselves of the affordable health insurance that they found on the marketplaces. So, I mean, this is one of many, many things that will go away if Donald Trump is able to successfully repeal the Affordable Care Act. And just everything becomes more expensive. I mean, if people are voting based on inflation, imagine what your healthcare costs are going to be. The bankruptcies are going to go back up again. There's going to be 3,000 deaths per month again for lack of health insurance. So all these things are going to happen. Yeah, but you know what? Bread is 20 cents cheaper, maybe, if Donald Trump doesn't trigger another recession.
I mean, you took that on. You said, I'm voting for Trump because inflation. You said Trump presided over both a manufacturing recession and a deep economy-wide recession, presided over 2.9 million net jobs lost, left office with a $3 trillion budget deficit, and will make healthcare more expensive and cover less. I mean, you got to just keep repeating this stuff because it is... I don't even know what to say about the facts and figures that are so clear. And then I think what they try to say is, but COVID. It's like, well, yes, part of the disaster was his disastrous response to COVID, but part of it was before COVID. Yeah. What he did to the economy. And
I mean, if we had been attacked by a foreign nation and on our soil during Trump, what are you just excuse that? I guess that's the mentality that we've been dealing with for 20 plus years now, because after 9/11, George W. Bush and that regime kept talking about, we kept you safe, except for that one time, but we get a pass on that one time somehow. Like Donald Trump gets a pass on this brutally incompetent response to COVID. I mean, there was a roadmap for how to handle this. There was a way that Donald Trump could have either stopped or mitigated the incoming COVID at that time, and he refused to do it. He just didn't want to do it because he saw Election Day around the corner. He saw that this might make the economy go a little bit wobbly or whatever he was thinking, that he just wanted to ignore the thing. Yeah. And then he just
kept saying, we're doing a very good job. We're doing a very good job. Much like Barron. Barron's doing a very good job being Barron. Have you noticed what a good job Barron's doing, being Barron and tall and things?
Exactly. So here's what he did. He did the least he could possibly get away with doing without doing nothing. So essentially it was a couple of weeks of let's bend the curve or whatever they were saying. And then it was a whole bunch, like an insufferably long number of press conferences. And then it was just, okay, everyone, we're done. Everyone go back to what you were doing like a month after.
Yeah.
And so as a consequence of that, we've got 400,000 Americans dead during Trump's final year. How does he get a pass for that? 400,000 American deaths in his final year in office. Yeah. And we're supposed to just waive that. Like forget about that last year in office. That doesn't count.
dictatorship
Baloney.
thing. Not important now. But you
Yeah.
retweeted Ron Filipowski, who said Kash Patel says as Trump's next CIA director. We just played that. He will lead an all-out effort from patriots appointed by Trump to jail people in government and media. We just played that. We will find the conspirators in government and media. Yes, we're going to come after people in the media. And you just said, obviously, Trump will black bag the enemies of the people first. I also realized that on a D-list level, I'm a person in the media. Yeah, it'll take him a while to get to us, Bob. So we'll...
Right. Or obscurity is a
we'll
shield.
be able to see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or obscurity.
You're first, Miller, before Bob and me or
Right.
Chris.
We'll be
You're
like that
first.
Chris Rock routine about mass stabbings. They're like, oh, they stabbed all the big people in the media. Oh, you see it coming at us, right? Yeah.
Well, this came up on my podcast, and we were talking about it. I think it was Jody. I think you and David were on the show at the time. And
The Bob Cesca
we were
Show,
talking
which
about,
is essential to American democracy. Yes, go ahead.
Exactly. Like if Chris disappears, then I know that we're next.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
so if
Why
the
me
line of
first?
succession gets to
Way
that,
before me or Bob or David.
I think it's clear that you're on the front
I
line.
don't know why we landed on Chris. I mean, we
we know
should have said, well, if
Stephanie's way
Stephanie,
first. We know you're
if Stephanie
before
doesn't
Chris.
show up one day,
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I have Simply Safe. What?
I'm the right-wing tool of the show.
That's true. They'll spare you.
Yeah. Why would I get taken?